We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Through the unknown remembered gate, when the last of earth left to discover...
Welcome back, everybody, to Separable Tongue. I'm happy to have Terea here with me. She goes by Lyrical Capo online. She's an entrepreneur, and I got the chance of meeting her last summer in Johnstown, PA at a festival, and ever since then we've talked a little bit, and now I'm happy to have her here. And we're actually in our library in town. They were nice enough to let me reserve this space for us to talk. So just starting off with the episode, we've already probably covered a bit of what I'm going to have you cover again, but for the audience, just kind of explain what it is that you do, your love and your drive for entrepreneurship.
Hello, like he said, my name is Terea. I go by Lyrical Capo, C-A-P-O. What drives me is my past. My past is what has me centered where I want to go. I'm a childhood trauma survivor. That's another story, but your past makes you who you are. So I love helping people. I love speaking. I always had a knack for writing, speaking, rapping. So I say, you know what, let me just get into communications. And that's digital, verbal, video. So my drive and passion comes from pain.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the, I think in my own experience, one of the greatest ways to instigate creativity and instigate ways to move forward, because then, and I really like how your way of expressing that is the communication side, because you find art and you find expression, and it helps you kind of heal a little bit of who you are, and then you can then use those skills to go and talk with other people. So what kind of writing do you do other than the communications?
I write rap lyrics. That's where my writing started, rap lyrics and creative writing. So I've been writing all my life. And I'm an exceptional writer. From public school, junior high school, and even GED school, I was an acknowledged writer. They had me write stuff and would publish it. I was in spelling bees throughout schools. They just noticed that, recognized me as being articulate when it comes to writing.
And so how has, now that you've turned more towards communications and helping people with your entrepreneurship, how have those skills and that pain that you've been harnessing, how has that turned you into the person who you are now to be able to help other people?
Being a survivor and all that trauma and pain, I had to be strong because I'm an only child. And so I didn't have no brothers and sisters to call for backup and help. And I just had to be in the wilderness, basically, what we call the trenches. and he's right about the pain and the this and the that, but we're going to be victims, or one day we're going to be victors. Yeah. We're going to be victims or we're going to be victors. And you know what? You have to go through something to build yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you brought up about being in the wilderness there and being in the trenches, because I think, throughout history and throughout literature that the wilderness actually is something that is one of the greatest places to find yourself in, because, you're outside of the area of other people's opinions a lot of the time, and you can grow who you are. And I mean, so like whenever we read in the Bible that like the wanderings in the wilderness and people going out to the wilderness to find who they are, or in other mythologies, it's that's always the place where there's the person who you are kind of hiding out there, and you need to go and find them. So more with your entrepreneurship, you were also talking about how you help people to find jobs in local areas, and you have a system there. Can you talk more about that?
Yes, definitely. So with that, I've been working there about a year and a half as an independent contractor, titled brand ambassador for a nonprofit that's actually the hub of our city here in Johnstown, entrepreneur program. You go there to get grants and help with your business plan. So they're part of a workforce program that was created, and they got funding for it, and they manage the program, and I'm hired to let people in the community know about the service and the program.
Mm-hmm. So was it the entrepreneurship that you were doing on your own through Lyrical Capo that got you the recognition to be able to be hired in that position, or was it you seeking it out more?
Actually, I made up my mind last year that I wanted to go into marketing deep. So, I went to a job fair. You know, the biggest job fair we have
Yeah.
is every May, I think,
Yeah, I actually think I might have gone there. Yeah.
at the War Memorial.
Yeah.
So it's turn up. You know,
Yeah.
you have fun in there. Not only is it about jobs, it's really interesting in there.
Yeah, people, I mean, everyone is looking for that sort of community, I think. So it's like whenever you offer those places, like a job fair or even just some sort of community center, I mean, you do get a big turn up, and it's impressive, and it's kind of inspiring, because a lot of the time I think we hear that, people aren't interested in doing that thing, and like those types of things, and aren't interested in moving forward and, making something out of themselves. But then you actually talk to people, and I see that in everybody. I mean, at least that's my own experience, is everybody who I've talked to has that sort of that drive inside of them, and to unlock. So with Lyrical Capo, what are you doing in the present currently, and how's that sort of looking to the future with what you're wanting to
Okay.
do?
Currently, I am honing in my message. So right now, I'm hell bent on honing in the message so people recognize I'm straight up about positivity, and I'm genuine, and locking in with my target audience. So there's like one or two elements to Lyrical Capo. So how the brand, so it goes like this. We have to market and advertise to survive. So it's basically a creative communications agency. But being that I'm an ex-felon and I know all about it,
Yeah.
I want to help other ex-felons.
Oh, I see.
So I'm actually in the process of working something out with HUD, the housing people, HUD, housing company. They got wind of me doing my good work, and so they want me to call them and help ex-felons. They got some kind of program, and they want to see what I can bring to the table.
So the target audience then that you're talking about is specifically ex-felons then?
Well, it's let's just say this: whoever want the services from my agency is who I help. But I'm locked in with felons. I'm locked in with the youth, and I'm locked in with the elderly. Because my version of communications is good vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's me creating a curriculum, something to do, whether me doing an event. And when I say curriculum, we sit in a group, a session. You know what I mean? Whether we doing I'm presenting a presentation, or we're just talking, or we're having an event. So it's wide, and
Yeah.
I'm also open to suggestions.
Well, and I mean, I feel like I can relate a lot to that way of presenting to other people with, you're trying to bring like the goodness out of it specifically. You're not trying, I mean, we have to always acknowledge the darkness there and the bad parts, but whenever you focus on the goodness, I think that it really does bring out, a great part of the things that you're doing. I mean, with my own podcast, that's always something that I introduce my guests to right before we start the episode. I always say, like, I want this to be very conversational. I want it to feel like, we're just talking, like, if I just met you on the street and like this is just us talking, or, if I meet you in a coffee shop. And I mean, I think from my own experience, with this now being, I think, the 15th episode that'll be out, it's always opened up, new doors of conversation with people.
Amazing.
And I've actually gotten to the point too where whenever I first started, I had like this very detailed script that I would follow, of like questions that I knew I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
And those episodes went great, and I still love those early episodes just as much as these ones. But I think going to where I am now, where I will kind of plan a few days ahead of like just always thinking about the episode, always thinking about the guest, and just kind of getting in that headspace is a lot more beneficial to myself interviewing, and then also to, I think, the listeners, for it just being a normal conversation. Because I think, every medium has its strengths. And I think with podcasting, the strength is you're like the audience member is the fly on the wall in the person's conversation.
I like
And you don't
that
really,
fly on the
yeah,
wall.
and you don't really get that with any other thing, because I mean, if you're watching a video interview on TV or anything like that, you see the people, so you feel kind of disconnected from them in a weird sort of way. But with podcasting, it's like in your ears, it feels like the closest thing. And so that's the kind of the pathos I've always tried to encourage with myself, and that's what really interested me about what you do, because it seems like we're doing, sort of similar things in slightly different fields, which is why, we mesh pretty well with, our ideas and, where we want to go. And so you were also talking about, before we started the podcast, there's Lyrical Capo, and then there's I Am Lyrical Capo. And so can you talk a little bit about like what the differences are to those, and maybe the different target audiences and the messages?
Okay, well, I specialize in communications. That means be yourself, being authentic, and speaking up, meaning self-empowerment. So Lyrical Capo is how it all started. I was learning how to edit videos and getting my creative skills up for the visuals, the digital media assets. And then I decided to start I Am Lyrical Capo, which is the business page. And so the difference is Lyrical Capo is my personal page where it's in professional mode. I have 5,000 plus followers, but I feel like I want to put more into I Am Lyrical Capo, far as like scheduling events, giving them more. It's for the entrepreneurs. It's for the creative entrepreneurs and busy professionals. I Am Lyrical Capo. That's more focused on if they want to hire me, book me.
I see.
You know what I mean?
So then the initial Lyrical Capo is more just to show who you are, and then the I Am Lyrical Capo is to show more like what your business has to
Yes.
offer. Okay, I see. I didn't pick that up at first, but I'm glad to make that clarification.
And I got there trial and error. So I never even imagined me wanting to do I Am Lyrical Capo.
Yeah.
But I knew it was going to be special, or it can be special with the right allies. Because communications is about, to me, because I'm moving on my own perspective, because I came from the wilderness, the trenches, fighting for my life, basically, and I'm not dwelling on that. I'm using that as my propeller, and also what saved me and continues to save me is education.
Yeah.
So I'm communicating to the world that no matter what you go through, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, but you might not feel like it. So that means don't dwell on the trauma, the drama, because that keeps you in that. So, that's why I'm here to be honest, genuine. No, I'm not perfect, but I'm real.
Yeah.
And I'm compassionate.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's really all that is important now, especially as we were talking about AI a little bit, and for all the benefits that it offers to, people who know how to use it properly and know how to, in the situations like what you use it for, just to like speed up the process to make it where you can do more work more efficiently. At the same time, it's also kind of part of this new zeitgeist that's forming, where it's like it is kind of disconnecting more of the humanity from things. And so in your case, whenever you know how to use it properly, it's great. But then in a lot of cases too, it kind of makes people a little bit more distant from each other.
Right.
And so that's why it's really cool that you are so focused on making sure that distance is lessened, and that we're not all so far apart. I mean, because social media is amazing and it does so many great things. And I mean, we're here talking on a podcast that's going to go on social media. But at the same time, it's, without that genuineness, and people can sense that. They can sense the genuineness. And that's all of my favorite podcasts and all of my favorite writers and things that I read online. It's always because you can sense their genuineness, and that what they're doing is real.
Definitely. And I want to add, in defense to AI, because we have mixed reviews on AI. As Caleb just stated. But it goes like this, just like with a gun. It could be good or bad.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's the person behind the tool.
Yeah.
AI is not bad unless somebody has bad intentions when using it.
Yeah. Well,
I use it for positive vibes.
I love the metaphor of the gun, because I think I've actually used that before to defend AI to people, or defend AI, when talking to people, because it is scary, because like we live in this culture where like we've kind of been preconditioned to think that AI comes and then like we're outsourced, and that's not going to happen. We've seen that that's not going to happen. We've seen that this is just the new printing press. This is the new the cotton gin. Like everything works kind of in this way where it restates the past, in a way, and it, creates a new future. And as long as we know how to use it properly, then it's good, and we can continue on. And I think that it's been a kind of a rocky couple of years since like the things like ChatGPT and things started coming out, of people figuring out, okay, how do we contextualize this into our lives and contextualize this into what we were doing already. And I mean, thankfully it's gone very well. All of my experience, and actually I think it was 2 episodes in the past I did with one of my teachers from school, and he's really big on AI as well. And so we talked a lot about that. And he has a similar sort of heart for it that you do, where it's a tool, and it's a useful tool whenever you know how to use it properly. So as kind of looking forward to, as you plan on the next couple months, couple years of Lyrical Capo, and I am Lyrical Capo.
Next quarter.
Yeah, next quarter.
Next couple quarters.
As you plan on that, where are places that you want to take it? Where are maybe even geographical places you want to reach? Things like that.
Okay. First thing first, I want to do some brand awareness a brand awareness campaign. So I'm gearing up for that for the next quarter, because the weather is shot. And I'm actually utilizing guerrilla marketing. So I'm going to the people directly, because for me, I need to talk to you, I need to see you, you need to see me, because a lot of people is fluff. We got a lot of pretenders out here. And so it's like I'm disrupting something. I'm coming in that status quo because I'm being genuine. And just to put it out there, Lyrical Capo is basically like a social media enterprise. If you got something to bring to the table that's valuable and legit, we can work. Because that's how we grow. If we're going to be in competition, it's just slowing down our success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keeping you in the wilderness. And who wants to be in the damn wilderness their whole life?
Exactly. Well, and if you're in competition with, say 4 other people who are doing the same thing as you, it's like, well, if you're all going to be doing almost the same thing, slightly different, why not just do it all together? And,
I love that concept.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and it's like, I think about that a lot. And especially looking back at the history of our country, especially because it's like all of the greatest innovations we've had, throughout the history of our country and throughout the history of civilization, it's always been like different people doing it. And it's, you would think that the best way, if you really want innovation, is to, meet where you're at and meet and see like where your overlaps are, and then where you don't overlap. And then where you don't overlap, that can be incorporated into it as well. And I think that is one of the greatest beauties of social media and of the internet and of AI, is that it allows anybody anywhere to meet up with each other if they're willing to, and to talk and to figure out, hey, what is it that we have in common? What is it that we have that's different? But most importantly, what is it that we want to accomplish? And then it's once you figure out what it is that you want to accomplish, then you can actually go and accomplish it. And so I really think that that's an amazing thing with Lyrical Capo that you're looking to do, is to connect people and to connect ideas in a way to not just benefit one person. It's not just to benefit you. It's not just to benefit the people who you're helping. It's to benefit everybody. Because if you can help one person, and then they do very well, and then that can help everybody else, because it creates awareness, it creates profit to go and do those things.
I'm not one size, just to let the world know, I am not one size fit all. I am about individuality. So I need to talk to you and know your pain points. I'm not going to put my views on you. I'm going to just say, hey, tell me what you need help with, or tell me your story. And we don't have that. That's why Lyrical Capo is awesome, because it's about giving people a chance to be heard. So again, I'm taking it to the streets. I got my own merchandise, so I will be looking for the community to support me. My website is in the making. I've been producing Lyrical Capo merchandise, hats, sweaters, and shirts, and I haven't been going to the streets to sell them, but I think I'm gonna start doing that. And then as far as the website, I have a web designer, and my website is like 80% done. I just haven't finished it because I want to do this part first, because I don't want a website just sitting there. So what's most important to me is doing the work. That's just me. I'm no fluff. Show me the the work. That's it. I don't care about the extra stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
bells and the
you
whistles.
don't want all that stuff sitting there if it's not going to be
Yeah.
helping at all.
The people don't care about the website. It helps once you're more established and people know who you are. But for now, I want to build a lot more relationships. And it's actually going good for me because my vision was always to work with nonprofits, creative entrepreneurs, and busy professionals. And lo and behold, I'm actually doing that. And it's picking up.
Yeah. Well, and I get that too, because that's one of the reasons why with this podcast, it still has a pretty small listener base, but even if it were to get bigger, I'm kind of hesitant. I think I brought this up in a previous episode somewhere, but I'm a little bit hesitant that if it ever did get to the point where it's attracting a lot of listeners, of going straight to building up, like, because with podcasts, the way to make the money off of it is with adding like advertisements and things like that. And so I always want to make sure that what people are getting from the podcast is the connection point between me and my guest, between what they're doing and what I can highlight there. And if that at some point stops being what's most important, then I'm like, am I doing maybe then I have to reconsider something. But I do really like that is your ethos behind it is to build the thing, to do the thing, and then after that, then you can start really like honing in the structure of like, hey, this is what I'm doing, like via a website or something like that. Yeah. And I mean, I totally get that. I mean, because if you're not doing the work and you're just doing websites, well, then you're just like,
oh, you're a web designer.
Yeah, then you're kind of just like all the other people who are just talking and just saying like, hey, this is just what we're doing.
Exactly.
Not really doing anything.
I'm doing the work. I never respected companies or people who don't do the work, but they got the title.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like how'd you get that title if you're not doing the work? And they don't acknowledge in those.
They get that from people, their peers and stuff. You know what I mean? Like handout jobs. They didn't earn it.
Yeah. When you do get that kind of undeserved success, when people do get that undeserved success, I mean, there is even a way, I think, to handle that gracefully, and a lot of people just don't do that. I don't know if it's possible, but I mean, I would say that the only way to do it is if you acknowledge that what you've done is undeserved, then you have to kind of make yourself even more humble than you would if you started it legitimately.
Humble, that's the key.
Yeah.
Do it all.
And but the humility there doesn't really.
Humility,
yeah,
that's a big word.
It doesn't really come with the people who get it undeserved, because in the ideal world, it would be, if you did do that, then you acknowledge, I don't deserve the things that I'm earning here, or the recognition that I'm getting here, and therefore I'm going to,
go elsewhere.
Do good with it now. But then people don't, do good.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I felt like that actually yesterday, the humility part. Mm-hmm. I was kind of upset with somebody I work with in a nonprofit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not really disclosing the full details, but we were ordering a dozen shirts for a project we have, and I told them I wanted hats and shirts. They got the funding, like $100K, $200K. Nah, and I was upset, but I calmed it down and used my humility, because I'm like, I got money, I can get my own hat. But it was to that project, so I was disappointed. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep working hard. That's why I'm here with you today. Yeah. That don't define me. You know what I mean? It's just a stepping stone.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, whenever people like that do show their true colors, and then you see who they are, it's like then, there's the fork where it's you either try to grow with them and show them what it is that they did wrong and hope that they change, but a lot of the time that just doesn't happen. And then in that situation, it's like, they just weren't made for the thing that they were trying to do, and, saying that they were telling everybody that they could do. And yeah, so that's where the genuineness,
Mm-hmm.
where the genuineness comes from. Because if you don't come in with the genuineness whenever you first start, it's like, when's it going to come?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people run into that problem where, they didn't start off with it. And because they didn't start off with it, then whenever some limited success comes, it is just limited, and there's no ability afterwards, after like it kind of reaches that critical mass, there's no ability for it to grow more, because they're not doing it for a good reason.
That part.
Yeah. And so kind of, to bring it back a little bit to your entrepreneurship and the reasoning behind why you do it. You said that you're not originally from Johnstown. Where were you originally from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York.
So I'm Gen X.
Okay.
So it was like really real back then.
Yeah.
People had morals and values. And it's definitely a major contrast to today, the millennials and Gen Z.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. I'm just going to be honest. I'm an original. I don't copy off people. I just have to be myself, genuine. And just expressing my feelings, I just stayed in my lane, which is Gen X. It was respectful, peaceful, honorable. Everything was cut and dry, and that's what I'm used to. I don't want to, and I'm a survivor from the trenches, so I can adapt to the new stuff, but it don't feel right to my spirit.
Yeah, I know what you mean with the with the different generational gaps, because I think doing this podcast and there is also a lot of light that I've seen in Gen Z, and I don't talk with as many millennials, but being part of the Generation Z, I do see a lot of really good positivity coming from people who I meet who are really willing to do what it takes to move forward and to do things. But then I also at the same time see what you're talking about, where it's people who, because they never really had to develop who they were as a person and never had to find their voice, they kind of take their voice from other people, but not in that way of not that Vincent Van Gogh way of steal from artists and good artists copy great artists steal. Not in that way, because that way is you acknowledge your influences and you acknowledge who it is that's kind of made you into that person, and because of that you're able to adapt that into your own voice. But the way that I see it now is it's a lot of people aren't even really looking to develop their own voice. They're kind of looking to just repost. And I think reposting it's a funny word actually whenever you think about it, but reposting has turned us kind of into a little bit of a society of we don't have our own individual voices anymore, and so then the people who do have their own individual voices are able to do actually a lot more work, if they're willing, if they're able to develop that. At least that's my view on it.
Yes, I agree with you. And I want to thank you for having me here today, and also bringing up the word humility, because that's going to be the word for today. I'm going to really let that sink in. And like I said, I touched on that yesterday, and I used that, in that situation where I didn't get the hat I wanted. I was just disappointed, and I'm like, if you want me to represent the company, I want to look how I want to look. Yeah. It wasn't like you had to buy 1,000. You could have just bought one, and you have over $100K budget. So I said, you know what? That's when the humility came in. I didn't show that I was upset, and he probably knew. But that's when I used the humility. Woo, sign, so cool. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and, for people who are able to express that humility, whenever people do know that they did something that upsets you, and your first reaction isn't to blow up on them like a lot of people's reactions would be, then that builds your character more,
okay,
and it builds you in the eyes of other people, and it builds you especially in the eyes of whoever that guy is who you were working with, because now he knows that that is who you are. Even if you are a little bit upset at something and you wish it would have happened differently, that you have the character to stand strong in that and to express that sort of humility. Also, so now kind of as I think we probably get to maybe the end of this episode, I'd like to ask a similar rendition of this question to all of my guests, because I really think that it highlights what it is that my goal with this podcast is, to highlight people, to highlight their voices, to highlight what they're doing. So as you have grown throughout your life as a person and as an entrepreneur and as a business, how has all of that work that you've done changed you from who you were whenever you first started, and kind of made you realize who it is that you've been all along?
Honestly, I knew who I was all along, but being a childhood trauma survivor and it continuing into trauma as I got older, I knew I liked helping people.
Yeah.
Because, if I wanted to work a 9 to 5, I'm certified to work with mentally ill, autistic. I'm actually a program manager level in that field.
Yeah.
Started with no experience, and my love for helping people took me to the top. Program manager, from being a direct support provider to house manager to program manager. So that tells me I really like helping people and not just simple, complex.
Yeah.
Complex, because autism and mentally ill people, special needs, which I love them because they help shape me too and help me with humility, because remember, these people have their own personalities, let's say, and they love me because I didn't judge them. Even if I was frustrated or something, I just always was professional with them and let them know they can be themselves, and they calmed down and respected that. Meanwhile, other staff handled them different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they knew I was the cool staff, so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just aren't able to see that people who are different than them in some way are still just as much of a person as they are. And I mean, I think that's...
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love your intellect. We're still the same, even though we're different, we're still got blood, bones in us, you know what I mean? It's just, I think we have to have more conversations like this.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
because-
need a company like me and yours to come in, and I feel like we're about to do something big together because there's a lack of.
Yeah.
My job is to solve problems at this point.
Yeah.
Because I've been through so many problems and I overcame them. So that tells me I could just sell my knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if like we started off this episode, so it's a great way to wrap it back around. But when you are able to turn that pain into experience and into knowledge, then those make the greatest people to be able to share it. Because whenever you know how to share how you've gotten through those things, then people who haven't figured out how to get through those things yet, then they have a light to be able to get through. And I actually really liked what you said about how you've always known what it is that you've wanted to do, and so it's been more kind of like a refining of that and figuring out who it is. Because there was this poet, Charles Bukowski, who had this great quote that it took me a really long time to kind of understand what he was saying there, because I think as a younger guy hearing it, I never really got what it was. But he said that one of the most important jobs of anybody is to figure out what it was as a child that you loved, and then doing that now, because it's a lot of people have that experience where they know as a child the things that like really get them going, and like that they really love and that they're really good at, and then a lot of people end up losing that a little bit. And so it's really great, and it's a blessing for people like you who are able to know throughout their entire life, this is what I'm good at, because then it can just be a life spent refining that, rather than a life spent knowing it, then losing it, then having to refine it. And I mean, there's like that old Buddhist koan where it's like, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, but the second best time is right now. And I heard that this morning, and I guess that actually relates really well to what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on my show. I loved getting to talk to you, and I really hope that your experiences and what you're doing for other people, I think that it did, but I really hope that it comes out to the people who are hearing this. I hope that they're able to take something from it, and that they're able to then go on and look more into what you're doing, and get into contact with you. But thank you for coming on my show today.
Yeah, and if y'all do want to message me, I'm at facebook.com/entrepreneurwins with the letter Z instead of S. facebook.com/entrepreneurwins. Just put that in the browser and it'll pull up Lyrical Capo.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and thank you again for coming on today.
You're the best.